Today we're going to cover Chapter 6, Section 7, Culture of the Depression Years. This is actually one of my favorite sections to teach. I really have a lot of fun with it in the classroom, but since we're not there, we have to do it this way. So I'll try to make it as fun as I can. All right, during the Depression, FDR created several public arts programs to decorate buildings. One of the most famous was the Coit Tower in San Francisco. It's been built to actually resemble a fire hose. Inside the Coit Tower, a large mural was painted depicting an American street scene. A little clip here. Here you can see so many things going on. There's a mugging going on there on the right, a mailman collecting mail. There's people walking back and forth. It's very Art Deco, but it goes around the building inside, so you get kind of a nice artistic view. There's even a car crash there. Murals were painted in federal buildings around the country. Here we have another example. Now, art depicted life during the Depression. Painters wanted to show everyday life of what Americans were going through during the Depression. Here we see the subway painted by Lily Faridi in 1934. Employment of Negroes in Agriculture by Earl Richardson, also 1934. Coal by Paul Meltzner, also 1934, showing the coal mines. I like this one, Baseball at Night, Morris Cantor. It's showing a baseball game, but you can see that the dimensions are really exaggerated. Regionalism was a new art movement that began in the 1930s. Illustrations depicting realistic scenes of rural and small-town America. There were three famous American regionalist artists, all studied in Paris, but devoted their lives to creating a truly American form of art. And they were famous for their paintings and murals. Thomas Hart Benton, mostly focused on working-class America. Here's one of his murals. I'm scrolling it across the screen here. And there it goes. It's not sure what's going on with the guy wrestling the bull there, but you can see the Mississippi River and one of the steamboats off in the distance, and agriculture obviously is a major theme here. It's called Archelaus and Hercules. It was a mural made for a Kansas City department store. The department store was torn down, but they saved the mural. Now it's in the Smithsonian American Art Museum. The second one was John Stuart Curry. He believed art should come from everyday life. Here we see a painting showing a Protestant baptism. It's called Baptism in Kansas, and it's in the Whitney Museum of American Art across the river in New York City. The most famous of all the artists is Grant Wood. Grant Wood was from the Midwest. He was born in Iowa, and he's best known for the most iconic Depression-era piece of art called American Gothic. You're all very familiar with it. We see the very dour-looking couple, the man, his wife with a pitchfork. It was painted in 1930, and today you can see it in the Art Institute of Chicago. The painting is one of the most parodied works of art. It's been used to different things, very funny stuff. Michelle and Barack, Hillary and Donald, Kermit, Miss Piggy. Yes, and on and on. This is one of Mr. Asadillo's favorites. Even up in Canada, they use it for a McDonald's ad. The house you see in the background is actually a real house. It's in southeast Iowa, and today you see it's a museum to Grant Wood. These are some other Grant Wood art. Death on Ridge Road. This is up in the Williams College Museum of Art in Massachusetts. Spring in Town. This is in the Swope Art Museum in Terre Haute. That's in Iowa. Stone City, Iowa. This is in the Joslin Art Museum in Omaha, Nebraska. He likes to paint curvy hills. You can judge for yourself what he's trying to say here. This is one of my favorites, the plaid sweater in the Stanley Museum of Art at the University of Iowa. It's so realistic, showing a boy dressed up to play football in the 1930s. Now, photography is going to grow as an art form. And probably the most famous photographer was Dorothea Lange, who was a Depression-era photographer and took a lot of pictures. She was originally from Hoboken, New Jersey, and she traveled the country. And some of her pictures are used in movies, magazines, textbooks. Probably the most famous picture of the Depression era we've all seen before. Oh, there it is, of the woman with the two little children. She also did a lot of others showing people traveling, Okies going across country, little children in rural areas, families at the side of the road living. I like this one. This is like some store in the South. It's a gas station, general store. You can get a Coca-Cola there. I like this one too, showing a Depression-era boy, the look on his face, and how she captured it. But her photographs humanize the consequences of the Great Depression and influence the development of documentary photography. All right, now let's move into literature. Many classics were written during the Depression era. In 1937, Ernest Hemingway wrote To Have and Have Not, one of his classics. Hemingway at the time was living in Key West and went to Spain, as we see in this photograph, during the Spanish Civil War. And as I put up there ahead, his books, To Have and Have Not, did have a Depression-era theme. Probably the most famous of all the writers of the Depression era was John Steinbeck. In 1939, he wrote The Grapes of Wrath. It was the story of Okies, people from Oklahoma who lost their farm and who traveled to California during the Dust Bowl in search of a better life. I did show you a clip from the movie when the family was being kicked off their farm by that guy in a car. And the movie will go on, another clip of it showing the family heading out west, not knowing where they're going to go or what's going to happen to them. And it was a very typical story that occurred during the Great Depression era, during the Dust Bowl. Well, that ends our section on the culture of the Great Depression, the art and literature. I have posted 5 questions here. If you could answer these questions and upload them to Google Classroom. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed teaching it. Well, thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day. And I will talk to you again tomorrow. Goodbye.